Welcome to the Honest Designers Show, your transparent look into life as a modern designer. My name's Tom Ross and I'm the founder at designcuts.com, and this week I'm joined by my fellow Brit and hand lettering expert Ian Barnard and the ever-talented South African illustrator Lisa Glantz. This week we continue our in-depth discussion on how to use social media as a designer. We hope that you can find a ton of actionable tips in this episode to apply to your own social media profiles. So without further ado, let's get into the show.
Could you film yourself helping someone out with your design services? Is there something that you could, is there something you could do for some folks at your local old people's home? Or
okay, so that's a great idea. And the best thing is, so you don't need to think of something new every time. You can turn it into a series. So let's say you do the same type of post once a week. Not only does that work because you don't have to think of something new every week, but also people start tuning in regularly. So I love that idea, Ian, where it could be go and do a free job. See, suddenly they've got beautiful design they could never afford at all these local places, and you're just doing it to get a kick out of it. And then you can see the emotional reaction of them and how much better their logo looks or whatever.
Yeah. What if you're good at photo retouching, you could do like you get someone's a photo that's been maybe damaged, or you get a photo that's just black and white.
Like an old wedding pic.
Yeah, and there's like tutorials of how to colour black and white photos. Maybe some like a war photo for war veteran, you colour in, I know that Chris Spooner's got some tutorials on that. And so, and just then get a reaction. So reaction videos, sort of like,
I love that.
Obviously, we're not just looking for reactions, but
we're looking to exploit these people for all their worth on an emotional level. No, that's a really good idea as well. I know there's one guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's very good at photo manipulation and retouching, and people send him requests and then he just comes up with a ridiculous outcome.
I know the guy.
Do you know where he'd be like, oh, can you like make my girlfriend shorter or something? And then he'll make her like 1 foot high.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
Or like in your hand.
yeah, exactly. But there'll just be like ridiculously comical outcomes.
Yeah.
Or you could do something like what Meg did for some time. I don't think she's doing it anymore. I could be wrong. Where she invited people to send over their portraits, photographs of themselves, and then she drew them. That was quite cool when she went through a phase of doing that. So as an illustrator, that's quite a nice thing to do.
And I guess this is getting more into like what's possible with Instagram and so on. But I love the idea of getting the community engaged around it. So if Ian said, comment below with your name and a style of lettering that you'd like me to do, and then he could either pick one person or he could like pick a name from one and a style from another, and then that could be a self-perpetuating thing where it gave him new content idea every day. And the person that got featured felt honoured, but everyone else was chiming in because they had a chance of getting featured.
Yeah. There's a guy on YouTube called Zimmery Mayfield who's a designer, and he gets people to submit a logo, like a brief, a like really small brief for a logo, and he does that as part of his video, and he's doing really well. He's got like nearly 150,000 subscribers over a short period of time, and he goes through, he like shows a time lapse of him going through all the iterations on it in Illustrator while he's talking about why he's doing certain things and the reasons behind it, and it does really well. And there's a bit of humor in there as well, and it's just and it's like, obviously people are getting a free logo, but he's getting content that he can,
and interaction,
and also people know that he can do a good job of doing a logo. So it's like a win-win-win sort of. So it's just it's finding something that you can you can, like you say, spin off into a series of different videos. So you're not always thinking about it. You can back up content and release it over time. It's something I could really do with, but I'm not really good at it.
Me too. I'm trying to think of one for myself. But yeah, the series thing is brilliant. I think we all need that, actually. It takes a load off, doesn't it?
Yeah, so helping other people out is a great way of doing that, in terms of you could just do, I don't know what it would be, because obviously logo design can be quite big, but it might be tweaking something or, yeah.
I mean, what you want to do, you create pillar content and then you disseminate that down into micro content. So what that means is, for example, our pillar content is we've got this podcast. We record like an hour-long episode every week, and that's the main content that goes out. But now we've got Honest Designers on social media. Go follow us if you haven't yet. And what we do is every week we break that down. So we do some of the best quotes from the show and we put them out as quote cards on Instagram. And we get some of the best segments of video from the YouTube version of the show, and we put out like 60-second or 2-minute clips. And that'll be like a quick tip or motivational bit and that kind of thing. So from one bit of content, you essentially end up with dozens of bits of content that you can then flood out. It's not like each time you need to create something totally original.
Something new, yeah.
And so it could be a podcast, it could be a video show, it could be that you record your screen and once a week you get some of your core followers and you help them out and you give them critiques on their work with the proviso that they're happy for you to share that. So then if in an hour or 2 hours you do 10 critiques, that gives you 10 mini videos, which you can put out. And then out of that, you can work out some common tips that you're given, being like, oh, you should do your alignment this way or whatever. And so you turn that into a quote card or some kind of isolated tip. So that's a very good way of doing social media.
Definitely.
You're just giving me an idea.
Can I do a book recommendation?
Yeah.
I know it's normally Dustin's area of expertise.
Well, fill in. Can you speak in a thick American accent?
Are you curious? I'm curious.
I'm curious what the book is.
So, I don't even read it. It's called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. And it's really good about ways to get discovered, about consistency, about whether you should share a piece of content or not, which is quite helpful. What you should be sharing, about finding your voice. So a lot of the stuff we've discussed on here, really.
Just go by that.
Yeah, go. Turn this off, go buy the book. No, but it's just really like little chunks of information that have been really helpful. Worthy. He's the same guy as like Still Like an Artist, which is just like similar to stuff we discussed with the other week when we were talking about copying people's work.
Yeah,
so
I might check that out. I haven't read it. It sounds very good.
No, it's really good, but it's not. Yeah, not too. It's got a lot of quotes in it, which is always really really helpful. Yeah. I can't read big chunks of content that easy. So.
I would say we talked on this show about authenticity and that kind of thing. It's easier said than done, but the dream is to get to a point where you have no filter, almost, which is quite a scary thing. But where you're not holding back and you're not thinking, what should I be looking like and how should I be doing this? You're kind of just unfilteredly pouring yourself out into your content. And it's a very rare thing. And people really pick up on it when they see it happening, because it is so rare and it's so difficult to do. But where you look at it and you think, oh, that is just them through and through. I've never met this person, but I can tell that is 100% them. Like Dustin did it, right? With the Daily Challenge. He was there like talking about really personal stuff with his dad and like just pouring his heart and soul into it. I didn't look at that thinking, he's trying to game the algorithm by doing emotionally resonant content. He ticked a lot of the right boxes simply by pouring himself into his work.
And people could see through when you're just trying, there's, obviously you talked about all this content, but people can see through if you're just trying to get likes or follows or whatever that may be, just trying to get money or whatever that may be, just, I suppose the thing is just to have fun with it and have fun with your audience, because they're following you for you and what you produce. and that's the best thing you can give them is you, really.
My mind just went really dark there. I'm thinking like next week on Ian's feed, we're going to see him like lettering at a local orphanage, just like trying to get as much emotion out of them as possible. Like,
yeah.
Why aren't you crying?
Yeah, like tread on one of their feet or something. Yeah, there's the tears. Okay, so we'll get close up. Like all joking apart, though, it's kind of how social's going a little bit as people.
Well, this is the thing, and you know that what I appreciate, because there's so much pressure to be perfect on social media, and every post has to be great, and every time you take a shot of yourself, it has to be amazing or whatever. I really appreciate when people who have like loads of followers, like Ian, or there's some illustrators that I follow, and then they, some posts they say, look, I haven't posted for a few days or whatever, and I've been feeling the pressure that everything has to be perfect, so I've decided to like just give you this today, and it's so nice to see that everyone struggles with the same things. And I think if we all just allowed everyone to go, okay, nothing has to be perfect, just have fun, how different things would be. But for some reason we create this own like environment where things have to be perfect, and I don't think that's all that healthy or even pleasant.
Did you see my Instagram post the other day?
Which one?
The one talking about positivity in that.
Oh, no, I didn't see that one.
Because I've noticed so many people, I guess because it engages well, are now spouting like unrelenting positivity. And when I'm not full of man flu, I tend to be quite a positive person in general. I think positivity is great, but obviously that's one emotion on a spectrum.
Yes.
And you can't be any emotion, and you shouldn't be 100% of the time. But there are some feeds where literally it's like, today sees the day. It's the best day ever. Like you've got no reason to be miserable. Positive, positive, positive. My grand just died. Positive, positive, positive. It's like, whoa, like calm down. And I was getting ready, and I was like thinking about, should I do this kind of post? Because is that what people want to hear? And I ended up doing a post being like, you know what? Like I feel pretty like knackered. I actually feel really down today. And in a world of like positive, 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 I couldn't bring myself to tell you that lie, because I think that does more harm than good. And loads of people were like, "Oh, like good to know you're human," and like it's really like they related to it.
Yeah, I think it's that whole. I guess that's why social media initially put me off. I mean, I literally only started doing social media like 4 years ago. Since I started my business, I didn't have any account because it was that exact thing that really put me off. And I mean, obviously now that I've been doing it for a while, there's obviously, authentic people out there, but it's that pressure. It's that thing of like chasing the perfectionism and always got to be on top of your game. And I think that breeds anxiety in general in society, and
it's really on the rise.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think there's such a bad knock-on effect from not only from a designer, illustrator, creative point of view, but just society in general. And I think the more, if we can do our small bit by actually being real, and I mean, I'm guilty of it. I don't always post stuff that looks shit. I always think that I have to post like the best, illustration of the day. Every now and then I post something that I'm not totally happy with and it's mediocre. And I think, well, it's better that than lie and say, well, look at this fantastic thing I did today. And
you should be like, here's like Ben the bunny, and here's his really ugly brother that didn't make the cut.
I know. Look, every now and then when I have posted something that I really dislike, it's frightening.
Yeah.
But I think we got to do it more so that we all, I don't know, we're in this together, people. Let's be nice to each other. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. That's my take on social media.
So what do you think, guys? Do you think we should spill into another episode, or shall we go quickly through a couple more social networks in like 10-15 minutes?
I don't think we don't use many more than the ones we've spoken about. The thing is, like I was saying, I'm on Twitter, but I'm not very good at conversational stuff, as in terms of here's my thoughts about the day.
Which is what Twitter is. Like for me, it's conversational thoughts, and it's for one-on-one connections and networking or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you want to go have a conversation with someone, on their profile, great. If you want to reach people you probably wouldn't be able to reach elsewhere, awesome. So someone you look up to, you could get into a conversation about, like, I don't know, toffee, and that's great, and you're away. But for me, it's more about that one-on-one approach and sharing what pops into your head, as opposed to like a curated feed of gorgeous work. I feel like that doesn't really do that well on Twitter.
No, I think all I do is just do one post, and that's my whatever I've posted on other social media. But then I have to cut it down for the words to fit into the 280 characters, because I normally waffle on about something, and more often than not it does all right. But then there's nothing else for people to sort of, it needs that constant stream for people to really. I've been on there for 6 years and I've got 6,000 followers.
Yeah.
And unless they like my art, there's not going to be much else for them. It's
do you think people want to go there because Ian's there being like, oh, I've been lettering all day and my hand really hurts? Like, just those kind of internal monologue thoughts. Is that what people are there for, do you think?
I don't know.
To get that
insight.
I should try that. Because they wouldn't get that on your Instagram. They wouldn't get that on your Facebook.
No.
But if you're pouring out that more personal side of you, I feel like that's
I should give it a go and see what happens. And see whether it resonates. I suppose you just have to try things and see if it works.
Okay, but now I have a question about all these different platforms. So if you're posting on Facebook, which needs a different post to Instagram, and then there's Twitter that is a totally different kind of conversational platform. I mean, you're spending a lot of time every day. If you want to do it justice, if you want to interact with people, if you actually want to reply to them, if you want to read everything, if you want to do all that stuff, like, aren't you spending like a lot of time?
The reality is that you can't do it all. So you have to think, what's my priority? If your priority is Facebook, then you do that, and then you maybe just, like, for me, my priority is Instagram, and so I will post to Instagram and then sub-post to all the other ones, changing and tweaking the text. I have to be able to do both, like one post for Instagram and then completely change the actual post itself, like the actual physical video, is a lot of work, and it's just.
And do you find that you interact equally across all channels, or
no? Like, something that goes like is a hit on Instagram might completely fail on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just
and that's proof in the pudding, right?
Yeah,
the networks are different and they work differently.
But it's hard to keep up with what works on different platforms. So something like like you say, Lad Bible or the 9gag or whatever they are, short clips of movies work on all platforms. But something more like illustration design based, it works different on different platforms, and it's hard to keep that. When you're just trying to post anyway, having to change it. But sometimes, so I just change the copy rather than change the actual post most of the time. Because otherwise that's twice the amount of work having to do another post in a different style. And
But there's a reason social media managers exist.
True.
Because it is very much a full-time job. So I think that is a key point, not to beat yourself up if you can't do it all. Do what you can. I think this is something I'm struggling with myself, but I think quite an effective place to reach, I don't know if it's healthy or not, is to not filter your life, just to put it out there, and that becomes essentially less stressful and less work, because
you're banging it out rather than being perfect. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So, like, if I got into the habit of sharing my internal thoughts on Twitter, that's no real more work than me thinking them. And the same way as like my Instagram, it doesn't need to be like a Hollywood cinematic masterpiece. It's me picking up my phone and talking to it when a thought comes into my head and being like, here's where my head's at today. And by that phone being like an extension of our day-to-day experience, that's the people I notice who do very well on social media, particularly when you see stuff like Instagram stories. It's almost like they've turned their life into a TV show, but online. Like the personal trainer I mentioned, like he'll literally do like 30 Instagram stories a day, and so you follow through them all. And it's not that he's thinking, oh God, I need to do another Instagram story. How am I going to get this one looking right?
Yeah.
He literally just documents what he's doing. So it'd be like taking the piss out of his mate, or skateboarding down the street, or going to the gym, or whatever it might be. And when you get into that habit of just your phone being an extension of your experience, I think in principle that should be less work, but I'm certainly not there yet because I have the same concerns as everyone else. Right now, I don't want to like get my phone out and be like, hi guys, I just finished doing the podcast and I feel full of cold and look disgusting. Cheers. Happy Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think who's going to want to watch that? But the truth is, that is the stuff people want to see. Like,
I struggle with like not providing value in my Instagram stories because people. Me
too. That's why I just not have it.
Yeah, people have so many to look through.
Yeah.
That I don't want them to go on mine. It's me, a picture of me.
Be like, oh,
you know, having a drink.
But if you did you ever watch Peep Show?
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah,
you know that's like a point of view camera type thing. If we almost saw the life of Ian Barnard through the eyes of Ian Barnard, I would watch that. I'd tune in every day like it was a TV show because I'd find it really interesting. Like, oh, I get to see more in your studio, and I get to see what a typical day looks like in terms of your work. And how
messy my desk
See, that's a video I haven't
done.
And Lisa, same with you. I would totally watch that. I've got like a tiny glimpse into a corner of your studio. I'd love to see like more of your house and what you're working on, and you making a cup of tea. That might be the most boring thing in the world to you. And I need to take my own advice here because I don't do this either, because I'm constantly thinking like, will anyone want to see that and that kind of thing? But I think the answer is yes, typically.
Okay, but I have to point something out, and it's probably going to sound terribly, what do you call it, ludicrous, I don't know, whatever. But as a girl, generally, we don't want the world to see us looking like a sack of beep. You know,
but other girls want to see you. No, because then they're like...
So then you have to like make a little bit of more of an effort.
No, Lisa, I'd love to see you looking like a sack. Don't see yourself.
I feel like a sack already. But
Lisa, you never look like a sack.
Oh, that's so sweet.
You're a delight to behold, and you know it.
No. You haven't seen me when I wake up.
Neither. Monster from the Black Lagoon.
There's a feed on Instagram where there's this lady who tries to replicate the model photos, and there's like,
I love
have you seen that? Where there's like one where she's like being held by a t-shirt over a swimming pool, and her boyfriend's, you know, holding it, and she's like, and there's another one where she's trying to do it with her husband, and they're just like, she's fallen in, and he's let go, and it's just there's just tons of them, you know, like this model, you know, in a certain pose, and she's trying to do it with like, I don't know, a black sack and stuff like that. See, perfect. You know, the model one doesn't interest me, but the one they do, it's just so funny. Yeah. And that's the thing, you know, people love that sort of imperfect
reality.
Yeah. And I guarantee if you're there like bleary-eyed, being like, I cannot function without coffee, all your community are going to be like, yes, Lisa, like, same here. No one wants to see like the polished versions of us.
No, it's true. Not that they ever do see the full polished version, but yes.
I want to see more, because it's like, I've never seen Cliff. So
I've seen a photo of Cliff.
I haven't even seen that.
He's a handsome cad of a man.
He'll be the one doing this.
Or your is it your dog as well? We haven't seen your dog.
Mika. Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, I think I've seen your dog on video, or maybe a cat. The cat which seems to enjoy jumping on your keyboard.
Yes, all the time. Occasion.
Lisa, could you jump off this call, get your phone, and just walk through your studio, out down through your house, outside, and say, "Look, this is South Africa."
Except it's dark. It's dark.
And then can you hold up your cat like in The Lion King?
Yes.
Or Cliff. One day this will all be yours.
See, I'd love that because we know you so well, but we don't know, like we don't know what's the other side of the camera or what
right.
it looks like outside your house.
Okay,
I think we all just want to know who is Lisa Clans.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Put that on your story. Be like, here's the best view in the world. Sucks not to live here.
I'm going to do that next time at my other house. This house is cool.
Okay. So,
Lisa Clans has 2 houses.
No, man. Oh, God. That sounded like that, didn't it?
We're getting into Instagram now, and this is something I'm more familiar with because I've fallen out of love with Facebook. Although, Ian, you've made me want to fall back in love with it and try some new stuff.
Have we not spoken about Instagram yet?
Not massively. Do you want to keep going 5 minutes more? I feel like I want this to be a social media masterclass.
Okay.
Okay. So
what do you want to know?
All right. So Instagram stories to start with.
Okay.
I would say definitely try and document your life essentially if you're comfortable doing that. And if you're not, toe in the water, just try it a little bit. I felt uncomfortable first time. I should be doing it more. I'm going to do it more. But it's a comfort zone thing.
Yeah.
I think that can work really well. I think also utilize the filters and the stuff that's native to that platform. So on Instagram, you can do stuff like polls where you get people to vote on stuff. I'll give you a very good example of this. There's an English entrepreneur I follow, and he started saying, send me your business ideas. I'll put them on my story, like the video of you pitching it. And then people vote if they like it or not.
Wow, that's cool.
We had a show here called Dragon's Den, and he's now come up with a whole animation title sequence because it started taking off called Dragon's DM. And so he's now doing it where people pitch it, and he says if you get more than 70% yes votes on it, then you get to come and meet me, and I introduce you to investors.
Wow. Who's that?
So,
who's the entrepreneur?
Steve Bartlett.
Oh yeah, he's.
Did I tell you about him before?
Yeah, Social Chain.
Yeah, that's the one. And that's an example of like how far you can take something.
Yeah,
so
that's really using Instagram well. I mean, that's
it is, but it comes from something as simple as like, oh, I've got an idea, send me a pitch, and then it's like, okay, well, I've got another idea, I'm going to use the poll, and then another idea, I'll turn that into an ongoing show. Another idea, I'll do the bit with investors. You can do simpler stuff like Buffer, which is a social media company. They do it, and I think we're going to rip them off at Design Cuts. So sorry, Buffer, but where they do like a quiz. So it will say in the story like, I don't know, what year was Facebook founded? Was it this year or this year? How many users does Pinterest have? This many or this many? You vote, and then you can see in the admin bit who voted for what. And it says if you get all 3 right, then you are entered in to win a prize, basically.
That's cool.
So some people get 2 right, they're not eligible, but out of all the people that get 3 right, they get sent some merchandise and that kind of thing.
Cool.
Nice.
So you can do stuff like that. So yeah, I would say for me, stories are about candidly sharing your life, and often that's less filtered than the main feed. So you probably wouldn't put like you with bed hair on your main Instagram feed as a post, but that's perfectly acceptable in your story.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a combination of that as well as encouraging engagement via polls, via telling people to DM you, via all kinds of stuff like that. It's using the native stuff on the platform. And I do this all the time where I'll put something out, I'll do a few stories building up to a main point and then be like, if you're interested, DM me. And then suddenly you get a flood of DMs coming in.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really do that through the posts. So any thoughts, guys, beyond that? Or is that kind of Instagram stories?
You see, you're the pro, man.
Yeah, I use Instagram stories, but you're taking it to another level.
Yeah.
Well, I'm watching other people do it well and not doing it well enough myself.
Like for me, I do like a book that has been really helpful. I want to show the inside where it's got like a tip or something. Mm-hmm. A pen that I often use or people don't know the name of. I do the sort of updates to how my studio's getting on. Things that inspire me, rough sketches, that sort of thing.
A lot of that wouldn't make it to your main posts. That's nice being able to share that insight.
Yeah. And, just like, and the questions thing has been really useful because, like,
I forgot to mention that.
Asking, like, what people, for me, I say, I need to be more specific. But I say, what you're struggling with hand lettering. But I did that and I got, like, literally 1,000 responses.
I saw that where you were scrolling through them.
Yeah, so I need to be more specific in my, I can't really say the word, in my questioning, so that I can actually give a response to something rather than get overwhelmed with the amount of questions. So.
Or just pick a few.
Yeah, and
say on the story, look, last time I got 1,000. There's no way I'm going to get to do them all, but I'm going to scroll through and pick.
And I did. I just like randomly choose some. I think, okay, I can quickly answer this in one paragraph. And some of them, need a whole YouTube video or
exactly.
even a whole course, to sort of explain it. So,
yeah, I would say use it as well for a feedback loop where. What kind of stuff should I be posting? You could do that as a question and answer thing. You could do that as a poll. You could do that like DM me if you want to see more.
Yep.
I like that.
So should we very quickly, while we're on Instagram stories, think about for designers specifically? So I know, for example, there's a logo designer, Jake Fry. I think it's Jake Free. I mentioned him on the show before. He'd do stuff where he'd be like, do you prefer this version or this version?
Or this version, I've seen that.
And do a poll on his stories as well for that, which is awesome. I
think also the process stuff is quite interesting for people.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually show not only on paper but also your screen. I think that's quite interesting as well.
What you're working on, that could be like a daily thing. What am I working on today? Just people want to know, what you're using to do the thing you're doing, the process behind what you're doing.
I think treating it like a vlog as well, because it's a lower barrier to entry. A vlog takes quite a lot of work for YouTube. You need to do it often with proper camera, edit it, get music, like put it together properly. Whereas on Instagram, you pick up your phone and shoot, and all those little clips combine into essentially one long vlog movie.
Yeah.
Good example of this is Laura at Nifty Fox Creative. I don't know if you guys know her. She's really, really lovely girl, and she started doing this more and more, and she'd do it where she'd take you on a trip with her to client projects. So she'd be like, I'm going to go do this chalkboard lettering today. She'd be like showing that in process, show the day traveling there and like hanging out with the client and stuff. So you get that glimpse into her world. And I think case in point, if someone had to ask me like, who's a good letterer to go with for that kind of work, she would instantly spring in my mind. And a lot of people who weren't putting that kind of stuff out there wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Good point.
Can I say things that don't interest me when I'm watching stories? I don't know whether that's helpful.
Yes, it is.
Go on.
Like people at bands, just filming part of a song.
Are you saying this for like what you shouldn't do, or
this is just things that just don't interest me? Because like I'm looking, there's tons of stories to look through, and if it's like, what you're having to eat, what you're watching on TV, because I want, I give value and I hope to get like value back.
Yeah.
So I'm looking, and it's few and far between it, like the process to someone's mural, lettering mural is really good because you can see what they're using, how they're doing it. So for me, I know you're saying a vlog. For me, it's like I skip through anything that's not got like, if I'm following someone who's a letterer, I want to see lettering things.
Yeah.
Or something related to lettering, whether it's their process,
But you see, that's what worries me about who wants to see me making coffee or getting ready for, or at my studio or my dog or
but you're
me. I'd watch that.
Really?
Yeah, we're not telling you to do it all the time. We're just telling you that we've never seen. This is like
you're elusive.
I'm just thinking that all the time people posting the same.
Yeah, no, if that's the only thing they're posting, obviously.
Posting the stuff that are the reason. And it's the reason why I sometimes not follow people is because there's just too many, maybe, it's too much like a snapbook of family photos.
Yeah.
I'm all for family because I got my family. But if it's just photos and it's not inspiring with my lettering, then actually, it's cluttering up a feed. It has to be.
No, I get it, but again, I feel like that's more the main feed. For me, stories are a way to show your personality that you put out on the feed.
Yeah, but you can just, I suppose, if I'm seeing them, it's different, a bit more different. If it's just like, here's a picture of a skyline.
Yeah. Yeah, cheers. Yeah, I think what it is where it's completely out of context. So you should use your stories generally to weave
a
story.
Yeah,
exactly that. But like, if you haven't posted in 5 weeks and suddenly it's a random sky, it's like, okay, cheers.
Yeah.
Or like your dinner.
What on earth is that? Yeah.
But if it was Lisa, in fact, I'll give you an example. So we're doing this where we get Instagram story takeovers, where we get a different team member to take the phone for a day and kind of document their day. And that becomes a story. And Janik, who's our marketing manager, did a hilarious one. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he was like getting ready for work. He got in his car and like propped the phone up on the window or whatever. And he's like doing karaoke, like singing along on the way to work.
That would be me.
Yeah, it was like hilarious. And then it shows him pulling up in the work car park and kind of just takes you through his day. One of those in isolation would be like, what the hell did I just watch? But because you're following it along and you realize he's taking you through his day in a vlog type format, but in stories, it was really engaging and funny and so on.
Yeah. Goodness, that would be me.
My takeover is coming soon on Design Cuts Instagram. So Janik, I'm coming for you. I don't do these things by halves. I'm gonna have to find a way to get more creative because this was amazing.
Cool.
Okay, Ian, do you want to? I realise we're running quite long today, but it is quite easy to talk about this stuff all day. Do you want to give us a super quick Instagram masterclass in the same way that you did with Facebook? No pressure, go.
No pressure.
For designers, specifically.
Designers.
So, hold on. What are we classing as designers? Like illustrators, letterers, graphic and web designers.
Yeah.
General creatives.
So I suppose on Instagram, you're trying to, grow an audience of people who are passionate about what you do. So to do that, you have to post more than just a finished product. Like, I know we just talked about the process, but also part of what you can do on Instagram's main feed is, have swiping photos. So you could show the finished product looks nice on the first one, then flip through showing the process of how you got there. I suppose it's similar things. Inspirational quotes work well. Even though some people sort of have overdosed in that. I think there's a difference. You can just go through and do loads of inspirational quotes, or you can do ones that relate to yourself. So for me, I always use, whether it's something I found or something I made up myself, is that they have to relate to the copy that I write underneath. So why is that important to me? Because I get people who, they might like the post, but all they're going to do is click like and then move on. They look at the post, read the description. The description hits a note, then their comment, and that's what you want. That's the sort of process you want to go through. So I try and spit out what am I feeling that day in terms of why I've written that quote, how it may help them, or something encouraging to them from my story. So that's what you need to do. I don't think people really put enough importance on how much the description links in with the photo.
It contextualizes it, right?
Yeah, and context. They say context is king. So, having something that looks nice will not get engagement. It has to be, what's written underneath. Like we've seen with Dustin's example as well. Just having some of his pictures were quite random. There was like a toilet once, wasn't there, or something like that. But unless you read the description to find out what it was about, and you thought, oh, hang on a minute, there's a reason behind this, and then someone would comment going, oh, I feel the same, or oh, sorry to hear that, and that's where you get the engagement, is people resonate with the story. They're brought in, they're drawn in by the visuals, and then they stay for the story. So,
yes.
Or for the, I'm not great at writing stories. I'm just good at writing a brief. Why did I write that? And that's what people are looking for. So I think, yeah, and I'm not great at English. So this is, I can spend sometimes ages I write it out, and then I have to say it out loud to make sure it makes sense. Because sometimes I read it through and it's like it's going nowhere and it doesn't actually make sense. But so that's one thing. Things that do really well in engagement is the having 4 different sketches and saying which one do you think's best.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, or 4. And that's all you have to do for that sort of one. Videos work really well if it's something that people would want to watch. I don't do the whole minute unless it's like a really long piece and it would just be absolutely too quick to fit in. Even though you've got a minute, you don't have to fill that minute, because I try, if I'm, a minute is still quite a long time when you're flicking through all that content. So I normally go around the sort of between 30 and 45 seconds, depending on what it is, because people will, flick away from it, stop it, move on somewhere else. So a similar thing to, people still want sort of comedy or inspiring or helpful tips. Same sort of thing applies like we just told in Facebook. Getting people to tag a friend in who feels the same about a certain thing, or like you say, tag to, and I'll write your name out if you've got a skill of, or tag an animal you want me to draw or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Pose a question, they work really well.
Taking notes, literally.
I had visions of elephants having their own Instagram account.
Yeah,
Tag animal.
I'm a big one for technology and just again sort of thinking, what could I show that hasn't been shown before? So
there's also, that's also great, and that whole thing of what you were saying about using the tools, which tools you use in your trade, and then saying what it is. That's, people love that. Yeah. They also love quick little tips.
Like how to blend 2 brushes together. You've got 2 Crayola markers. How do you make those, overlap each other and get a cool gradient effect?
Yeah. Even reviews on particular things, the latest, I don't know, update to something, or
like something I do regularly, or not regularly, it's like every year, is take a picture of all of my books. So it's just one post, every single book I own. Started off quite small.
Is that the one that did really well, you said?
Yeah, because because people want to know, they ask questions about the books because they haven't got them all. I'm a bit obsessive with anything to do with lettering. I'll get a book on it. And so, I sometimes I do that, and then I say my top 5 books at the moment are, and I give a rundown. What are yours? You got any other recommendations that are not appearing in this list? It's just that it's those questions you would ask if you were in person with one of your audience. You can show finished pieces of work, but give something interesting or like say a story or something of value around the work that would help someone else reading or looking at it. Because just posting a finished picture of a brochure, how does that? Why is that of interest to me? What is it
exactly? Yeah, you
help
need
me
to.
With? So it could be
and getting quite brutal, right? Put yourself in your audience's shoes.
Just
honestly, why would I care?
And that's and part of that in the book it says has like what do you call those diagrams where it's like your tails off a yes no down the page.
Yeah.
So it's like
one of the infographic type things.
Is it interesting? Yes, no. And then it has other boxes as like And then it has a big long list where it's like, is it? And it's got like a cat, a burger, a sunset, and it's got all of them crossed out. And then at the bottom, it's just got like work, which is not crossed out. So it's people might like seeing your cats, but you'll notice that there might not be any engagement, unless you're doing something specifically. Why are you posting a picture of a cat? I know you love your cat, but why are you posting a picture of it? If it's a cat holding one of your pens in its mouth, then that's a picture. But if it, if there's some way you can relate it to lettering in a clever or interesting way, then do it. But I think you just have to think, okay, if I post this, is someone looking at it? What are they going to think? What are they going to feel? Will they react? Will they comment? Will they, and like you say, be brutally honest, because like people are looking through thousands of posts every day. Well, I definitely do. Why are they going to stop? It's like those pictures, those illusion pictures that some artists do with like lettering, where it looks like the letters are standing up, but all there are is a piece of paper that's drawn at like you see on football pitches, where they have to put the advertising on the ground, but it's like elongated and stretched out. But if you look at a certain angle, it raises up. That's a still image, but it's like, well, hang on a minute, how do they do that? That draws me in. And if they're looking on the Discover page, where the squares are much smaller, you need something to draw the person in. So,
how would you guys feel if we did a follow-up to this episode in another week, where we came prepared with, I don't know, 25 ideas each or something, and the episode ended up being like 100 content ideas for designers on social media?
Oh,
that would be a cool episode.
It would be. There'd probably be a bit of overlap, but yes, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it could be fun.
As long as you give us a reminder a few days in advance, because
I'm going to go write it down now.
Yeah.
Also, you've inspired me to do possibly my most ridiculous personal Instagram post ever.
Yeah, can't wait.
I'm going to do. You heard it here first. I'm going to do. I've got this like stock gallery of images of me that I had done for this sort of thing. And obviously I'm like full of cold and feel awful, so the last thing I want to do is a motivational quote, so I'm just going to do me gazing into the distance, done as a quote template, just saying I feel like a bag of
I like that.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to make a note, but hopefully for everyone who tuned in for this behemoth of an episode, got some value from it. Thank you guys, and Ian, especially for letting us pick your brain mercilessly. There's a reason why you're the social media king.
Yep.
And
the only reason I'm king is just because I've got a big number next to my face. I think it just comes out of experience of finding out what works and what doesn't over a long period of time. And I still don't get it right. That's the thing. They look to me as a complete guru because I'm just still working it out as I.
But I would say you have ground to call yourself an expert, or at least let us call you an expert. So you heard it here anyway. 100 content ideas for designers on social media coming soon.
Yeah, and we'll have Dustin back so we can
exactly.
Okay, so Dustin does share 15, the load. We do the rest. He doesn't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Division of labour.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, that's all from us this week. Let us know, as always. We appreciate the reviews keep coming in. I got to say, amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. And they're always really pleasant. All our reviews are lovely. Keep getting these amazing 5-star reviews and just people saying the nicest things about how candid the show is and that sort of thing. So if you have taken the time, can't tell you how much we appreciate it. That's not something we say as a platitude. Like, we do actually read them and they motivate us to keep going. So thank you.
Yes, and do tell us if you take any of these ideas from this show and use them on your social platforms.
Yeah, we'd love to know.
It'd be so good. Yeah, tag us up or like at us or message us or whatever. But we'd love to rally around you. So, yeah, thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Cheerio.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. We hope that it gave you plenty of actionable tips for how to level up your social media strategy. As always, you can find full show notes over at honestdesigners.com or find us over on iTunes by searching for The Honest Designers Show. And remember, we're now on social media too if you search for Honest Designers. If today's episode helped you, then it would mean the world to us if you took just a moment to leave us a review over on iTunes, as this is one of the absolute best ways for other designers to discover the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next week right here on The Honest Designers Show.